Hey folks, in this video we're going to walk you through our bike setups and show you what we've been living off of for the last 4 months here in Africa, and maybe you can decide which setup you prefer. So my bike of choice was the Surly Long Haul Trucker, non-disc, and the setup I've gone with is 2 rear panniers and a sort of bike packing style for the rest of my kit. So if you come in a bit closer, I've gone for 2 crosso panniers at the back and then a sort of frame bag type thing in the middle with some sort of cockpit type bags for food and wallet and that sort of thing. And then at the front I've got an Apidura waterproof handlebar bag, and that's got my tent and sleeping bag in. As far as water carriage, I've got quite a lot of capacity because I've got these additional bottle cages on the front which aren't being used at the moment, but I've got 2 bottles there and I've got plenty of room on the rack to put more fluids. The bottle at the bottom is actually for petrol for the multi-fuel stove that we're carrying. As far as gearing, it's sort of mountain bike gearing, and I've also got these 2-sided pedals so I can wear flat shoes or cycle clip-ins.
So I've gone for the Specialized Awol. They don't actually make this anymore, but it's a pretty darn good bike for Africa, I must say. It's got the 700C wheels, which is potentially problematic. I did have a split rim the other day, so had to go searching for 700s around. We did find them in the end, but it can be a bit of a challenge to find in Africa, so a bit of a risk there. We've gone for just normal flat pedals. I wear hiking shoes to cycle, and that's fine for me. My gearing is slightly higher than Greg's. I like to pump it a bit quicker personally, but a lot of the weight is distributed at the back of the bike. So with my tent, with the 2 panniers, with the water all kind of congregating at the back here, I do find that it's a bit challenging sometimes with so much weight centered at the back. However, when I did try and bring some weight up to the front, I did find the Awol was a little bit twitchy. The frame kind of had a bit of a sort of a torsional flex in it.
So the Surly Long Haul Trucker you can get in 700C or 26-inch mountain bike style wheels, and I've got the 26-inch version, which is great for Africa in terms of finding parts if you do break something, but they do roll a bit slower, and on fast flats I am struggling a bit to stay with Dan sometimes. But they are very strong. Like, the smaller the wheel, the stronger it's going to be, so I'm less likely to break things, and I'm just a bit more confident going into potholes and things and knowing that it's probably going to be fine. One of the other main differences is I don't have drop bars on this bike. The Surly does actually ship with drop bars, but for some reason mine's got flat bars on it anyway, mountain bike set up all the way through. And I do miss the drops because I ride a road bike and I really like getting down in the drops, going a bit faster, getting a bit aero, but I don't have that luxury on this bike. But it's not really been too much of an issue, and it does mean I can sit up and look around and do a bit more sightseeing when I'm riding along. One of the other differences between our bikes is we do both have Brooks saddles, but I've got the non-leather, non-sprung Brooks saddle. This is the Cambium. I've done loads and loads of miles on this now. I do really like it, and I think it's just as good really as the leather versions that you can get from Brooks. The last thing that's different is I've got Mudguards on my bike and Dan does not, and that is probably the first thing I wouldn't bring to Africa next time, because all they've done is just rattled around, gotten in the way. And that time I did have a bit of a crash. They've not been the same since. They've just kind of rubbed on the wheels sometimes and made rattling noises. And we've only ridden in about 2 days, 3 days worth of rain. So that's something that I think is nice to have if you know that you're going to be doing loads and loads of rainy riding. But here in Africa, pretty much you can avoid the rain, don't have to ride in it. So no Mudguards next time.
With the rack situation here, I've actually decided to put my tent on the rack. and have a little camera bag which doubles up as a sort of, you know, optional extras. That is full of things like spares and just things that I'm not going to be using on the day-to-day. Water kind of goes all over the shop at the moment. I did have 3 of these 1.5 litre cages. One has survived. There were 2 on the forks right here, but they did not survive the journey. So I would not recommend getting top light. You can see a handmade frame bag here, which has a few little things, bits and bobs, just for the day-to-day, and all the valuables go in the handlebar bag, which handily comes off like that, and I can carry that around with me. That's pretty much the setup. Oh, how could I forget the Dynamo hub? Both Greg and I have the Dynamo hubs. That provides about 3 watts of electricity as we're pumping along, just enough to charge the phones and keep us rolling.
So that's decided then. I guess the Surly long haul trucker is the way to go.
No way. AWOL all the way. Specialized, 700C tires particularly. I just like the way it rolls. I like the way it performs. It's been great.
It is almost a road bike. That it does seem very launchable and more fun when you've got the panniers off.
Yeah,
I guess. But I mean, for just sheer reliability, robustness, finding parts, I've got 2 panniers on this with a few more bits and pieces, and it's probably only half or a quarter loaded. This certainly could truck on with at least 3 times the weight. So
yeah. All right, Surly wins.
Oh, so you're just gonna roll over and take it?
No, I think you need something bomb-proof for Africa, and mine had a few issues. I think confidence in your bike is something that you just need when you're out in the middle of nowhere. If you're just going to be sort of doing 1 or 2 countries in Africa, fair enough. If you're doing the whole shebang, you need something bomb-proof.
Yeah, so if you're going to be going completely off-road, you don't want to see people for 3-4 days or whatever, then maybe something more like this is for you. But if I'm honest,
if you're rolling, if you're wanting to go quick, if you're wanting to have a fun ride, there's your bike.
Yeah, for those of you that have watched all the way through, you remember I was trying to decide at the start whether to go with my Genesis or this Surly that I've brought, and there's a lot of the time, to be honest, when we're sitting on tarmac, we're flying along, that I just think my Genesis would have been absolutely perfect, would have been amazing. But for the little bit of adventuring off-roads and on sand and all that sort of thing that we've been doing, and also when the road gets rough and you can't foresee that sort of thing, having the Surly has been quite nice. Swings and roundabouts, you choose, you decide. Test ride, then decide.